Yo, what's up everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to be talking about Monolith Soft once again and the big news coming out from the studio that they have over 200 employees. Shout outs to my dude Stealth for digging up this information here. And according to this listing that they do have, or more like an infograph where they talked about the company and some of the culture and kind of like the disparity between men and women, which is actually not too bad. But they talked about various different things here. And Monolith Soft now has 209 employees. Wait a minute, just a second here. 209 employees. Back in the day when Monolith Soft was first formed, this studio didn't have more than like 35 to 40 people. Now they have 209 people. This is definitely big news from Monolith Soft. Now, why is this big news? Well, it's because of the games, and more games. But I do want to go over some of the other stats here from Monolith Soft. So they're over 200 employees for the first time ever. They gained another 16 employees in the Q1 of 2019. And also I have to note here is that they were doing some urgent recruiting and all of that pretty much all of last year and this year, so it seems like they filled those positions. There is 24.9% females working there and 75.1% males working at Monolith Soft. So it's pretty crazy now that they have 5 different studios. They have over 200 employees, 209 to be exact, and they've delivered some of the best games on the Nintendo Switch already in its young life, from Xenoblade Chronicles 2 to Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torn of the Golden Country. So everyone's probably saying like, okay, they have over 209 employees, that's great. They have 5 studios, that's great, but what's going to happen next for them? And I think that this is what they're gearing up for. I talked about this a bit in my E3 video when it comes to Monolith Soft and some of the stuff that we've seen from them. We do know that they do help out with Legend of Zelda, so that's something that they help out with. There's been some people kind of just like theorizing that Monolith Soft could be working on a Legend of Zelda game, and which we'll talk about that in just a bit. But I do think that there could be a couple different things here. There are people who really want a Xenoblade Chronicles X2 or a Xenoblade Chronicles X port to the Switch, or both would be preferable in my opinion, at least. I think that with these amount of studios, they can get something like that done. Takahashi-san, the studio lead, stated that it would be expensive and obviously use a lot of resources to do so. Well, they've been gearing up for something here, so maybe they do have another team now that can handle a port of Xenoblade Chronicles X onto the Nintendo Switch. And listen here, guys, they got Xenoblade Chronicles 2 done with about 40 people and some outside help with the art and all that. I think they can get it done when it comes to it. Monolith Soft has been pushing the boundaries when it comes to the quality of their games and when it comes to the work that they can do with the small amount that they did have, or even before they became a big studio like they are now at this point with 209 employees, at least big for a Japanese studio and big for Nintendo when it comes to these things. So I think that they could get it done with whatever sub teams or whatever extra teams that they do have there. But you don't hire all of these people and you don't do all these things unless there's something big planned. And I talked about in my video about E3. I think that we could see 2 separate projects from Monolith Soft. One of them being a brand new IP. I think that brand new IP is definitely happening at some point. I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to be announced at E3. I would hope it would be announced, but I think they're going to have a brand new fantasy RPG with some futuristic elements thrown in there as well. I think that's what's next for them, and that's what the main team is working on. And then I think that the sub team with Takahashi kind of looking over it is potentially working on another Xenoblade game or a port of the original Xenoblade in HD, which we can talk about that as well. Or they could be working on some type of sub-series, which is where the whole Zelda thing kind of comes into play. Maybe they're working not on a mainline Zelda game, but maybe on a spin-off Zelda game where it's more of RPG elements, right? I mean, if you can create Xenoblade Chronicles 2 with 40 people, you could create some type of spin-off Zelda game with 40 or 50 people. You got 209 employees. You got 5 different studios. I think they can make it work. I think they can make it work. But here's the thing that I want to know the most about Monolith Soft is, where are their teams divvied up and what projects are they working on? Like, you have 209 people, right? So how split up is that? I know most people are probably in their main studios. They probably have 40, 50 people here, 40, 50 people there in different ones, but what's working on what? So I think that they could do it. There could be some type of spin-off Legend of Zelda game maybe that they work on, and hopefully that happens, because I would love to see Legend of Zelda kind of done in a RPG type of style. Because listen, guys, I don't want Legend of Zelda to become a full-on RPG. Obviously, the main Nintendo Zelda team, they handle that. They're not going to make it into a full-on RPG, but they did add a lot of cool RPG elements. I would love to see a sub-series, almost like just basically like a spin-off, like we've seen before, right? We've seen other type of Zelda games. We've seen Hyrule Warriors Zelda, right? With that. So I think that it makes sense that if Monolith Soft can get a crack at it from one of their extra teams, and you can get to play as Link and Zelda and like a Goron, and you can go around and level up, and you can go across Hyrule and beat Ganon that way, I think that would be really dope to be able to play as Zelda and use the full array of her magic or build up to that point. I think that would be a lot of fun, but we'll see what they have to do when it comes to getting these new employees and everything like that. But let's talk a little bit more about E3 and kind of what they're working on here. So Xenoblade Chronicles 3, that's something that people have been throwing out there. Well, maybe they're working on that. I think it's a little bit too soon after Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I think they're going to wait on that one. I feel that there's going to be a port or a remaster and a new game. I really would like to see Xenoblade Chronicles 1 or Xenoblade Chronicles X ported over to the Nintendo Switch. And let me give you guys a couple of reasons why Xenoblade Chronicles 1 needs to come over. I think Xenoblade Chronicles 1, the coolest thing about that game is that it has just this flow and this feel to it that you don't see in a lot of other games out there. Like, there's really no other games like Xenoblade Chronicles 1. What they did with the Monado, what they did with that game in general, and if they were able to bring that over to Nintendo Switch, but not just a regular port of the game, but I would like to see some actual enhancements. I think they have the team size in order to get it done. Maybe 60, 50 people, somewhere in that range. They can take the original source code of that game, they can enhance the textures, they can improve the models, they can make things cleaner, up it at the 1080p, 30 frames per second, put that out there on the Nintendo Switch so people don't have to do the whole PC or Dolphin type of thing or HD PC version of the game or whatever, and I think they can make a ton of money off of that. That would easily sell 1 million units, hands down. Like, so quick it would sell 1 million units, because Xenoblade fans have been buying the same Xenoblade game for a while now, with the original Xenoblade release on the Wii, and then you also had Xenoblade Chronicles 3D, and then you also had the Wii U release of the Wii game as well. I bought the game 3 separate times right there, so I think that a Xenoblade Chronicles 1 HD, a real nice remake of the game, would be really cool for the Nintendo Switch. Or they can go the route of the Xenoblade Chronicles X port, which we did talk about a bit. I think that people really want to see Xenoblade Chronicles X because it's just a different style of game that we've seen normally with Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and Xenoblade Chronicles 1. It has this huge open world with this really in-depth mech system and kind of the different like pathfinders and all the different stuff that you can join up there, and it just ends on a huge cliffhanger. So I guess it would bring more people in to think like, hey, maybe we can get a sequel at some point. But I don't know if I'd want them to announce Xenoblade Chronicles X and not them to announce Xenoblade Chronicles X2. I think it has to come in a package, not necessarily packaged together with the game, but I'm just saying like, hey, we announced Xenoblade Chronicles X, and then we also have Xenoblade Chronicles X2 coming at some point, or some type of spiritual follow-up, or where they continue that story, or at least tell us what happened, because it ended on a cliffhanger, just like they did with Bayonetta 1, Bayonetta 2, and then Bayonetta 3, that type of announcement. I think that we should see that. Hopefully, or this would probably be my dream scenario, and I guess we might as well just talk about this stuff. Why not? We're already getting into all this, if this could happen or if that can happen, but my dream scenario, guys, would be Xenoblade Chronicles X and Xenoblade Chronicles 1, both of those packaged together into like the Xenoblade Chronicles collection. But I would love a package of Xenoblade Chronicles X and Xenoblade Chronicles 1 together. That would just be so dope, and I think that a lot of people would buy that. But we're gonna have to wait and see. I think they'd probably do it separate, and I'm not sure if they can have all of that going on at the same time. That is a lot of work to do when it comes to these SD games, or when it comes to these big scale games with the online multiplayer like Xenoblade Chronicles X has. So I think that's asking a little bit too much from them. They don't have 2,000 employees, they have 209 employees, and they're probably working on something brand new for the Switch. So I think that's probably their main focus, is either Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Xenoblade Chronicles X2, or a brand new IP. One of those three is their focus. I would guess that it'd either be X2 or it would be a brand new IP. That would be my guess in terms of like what they're going to be doing next. But you never know with Monolith Soft. You never know. Some people felt that they're going to continue Xenoblade Chronicles X with the Switch game, but they ended up doing Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and continuing what they did with Xenoblade Chronicles 1 because people wanted that. So we'll see where they go back here. Maybe they just continue on with Xenoblade Chronicles 3, get a whole new cast and kind of put it in a whole different type of area. Or maybe they take what they did with Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and they take what they did with Xenoblade Chronicles X and they kind of put it into this super game, right? And maybe that's a new IP. Maybe it's not called Xenoblade, maybe it's called something else, but they take the gameplay elements and what they learned from both of those games and put it into a brand new IP. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff that we can see, guys. This is really good. I like to see that they're a nice medium-sized studio now at this point. They've got enough people to get the work done. I think they were kind of struggling back in 2017 when they were first making Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I think they didn't have enough. I think they had like 100-something people back then, from what I remember, like 117 or something in that area. And that other team, Takahashi-san and everything, they've been working on something. So I would think that it's ready to go this year. It's ready to announce and talk about it. But once again, we'll have to wait and see what happens. But I'm extremely excited and I'm extremely happy about this news. And I'm liking the fact that they do have some nice mixture in terms of gender and everything. I mean, 24.9%, not bad at all when it comes to the female versus the male ratio. And hopefully more female developers kind of get into the fray as well. So that's really good to see. And hopefully more, like I said, hop in. But nice stuff here. What do you guys think when it comes to Monolith Soft and this nice size of 209 people in here? One of the bigger JRPG developers out there, especially considering what they used to be, right? Back when they were with Square Enix and what they did before with 40, 50 people. Now they're a nice size. They're using that Xenoblade money right. So I love the fact that Nintendo is letting them invest that back into the company and grow so they can make bigger and better projects and more projects. So this year's E3 should be really cool. And if nothing is at E3, then probably a Nintendo Direct or Tokyo Game Show. Maybe we could see something from them. So what do you guys think about all this? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Go and check out the links in the description below. We got Facebook and Twitter. Go ahead and give us a like and a follow on our social media. Hit that like button if you did like this video. Let me know you guys want more content like this going forward in the future. And subscribe to PlayerEssence for this RPG, Japanese, and Nintendo gaming news. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.